various locations via the miracle of Skype. It's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailey, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
And we're back. Nice to be back here in beautiful Linden Station, Wisconsin, joined by my three partners. First of all, Brian Schmidt on the other side of the state over there in Oostburg, USA. Hey, man.
Morning. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there as the NASCAR races on Mother's Day.
Yeah. They never used to, but they do now. PJ Noodleman, speaking of the other side of the state, right along the old Mississippi River there in Trempealeau, Wisconsin. Hi, PJ.
Good morning, and happy Mother's Day to all you mothers.
Dan Margetta is in St. Francis, Wisconsin, about as far from Lake Michigan as Oostburg is, I guess, right?
Pretty much, just a little bit farther south. Yeah, happy Mother's Day to my mom and all the moms out there. And we go to Darlington. It's throwback weekend.
Yeah, they put up all these old, they say they're classic paint jobs, but without the numbers being the same a lot of times, it just loses a little something, at least to me. But it's one of the more popular weekends, which is pretty cool. And the fact that it's at Darlington, it's a 400-miler at Darlington, and it's fun to watch. The race will be televised on FS1 today. The green flag is at 2:12 this afternoon. The forecast is pretty good, 80 degrees in the 80s, and a low percentage of a chance for rain. The segments will be at lap 90 and 185. It is a 293 lap race on basically a mile and a third, 1.366.
The cool thing about this place is just the odd shape of it. It's not just a normal oval, it's got that egg shape to it, and got a lot of character. What did they say when they built that track? And someone got a fish pond, you couldn't go around the fish pond, so they couldn't knock out the fish pond. So they put the track around it, and it made this kind of a cool deal. I got to ride around there once in that petty driving experiences a while ago, and it was really cool to see how they had to drive that thing. You can't just hammer down around that place. You got to actually lift a little bit in the corners, and the transition is just weird.
Well, and you have to give something up to be good. You're usually good in either 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, but it's tough to be good in both.
Yeah, that's a fact. I did see a race there once. It was fun to watch, that's for sure. We were on the back stretch, which is now the front stretch, because over the years they did change where they put the start-finish line. And I can remember thinking that I was going to see Bill Elliott win, and I was pretty charged up because, me being the big Ford guy, at least at the time. And here he was right at the end of the race. He got passed by Dale Earnhardt. He ran out of gas, and Earnhardt passed him on the last lap. Pretty exciting race. Boy.
1987 Trans-South 500.
That's what that was, 87?
Dang, Dan.
Yeah, Dan. How the hell do you do that? That just blows me away. Well, you know what? They've had some pretty good finishes lately, at least. They did last week at Kansas. I almost feel like talking about that more than I feel like talking about Darlington. We were back to side-by-side racing. Late restart means that Chris Buescher didn't, run away with it. We're going to put Kyle Larson up next to him, and they're going to bang on each other in the last lap. And it was, I don't know if you are paying close attention, but I could have sworn I heard those announcers on NBC say the transponder said 0, and they had to go to a camera, which apparently breaks the tie of a transponder. How the hell does that work? And Kyle Larson wins the closest race in NASCAR history by 1/1000th of a second. You could see it. I wonder if there was a couple other things there. What if the line was straight instead of crooked, like that is proven, I guess, they talked over and over about this week? And also, if you had shown it like a couple of milliseconds before or after, would it have still shown the 5-car ahead by those couple of inches that we saw when it hit that crooked line? Boy, I don't know. Brian, we've had some pretty close ones this year, though.
Yeah, and there's a couple different ways to decipher this here. There's the picture that Fox showed of them crossing the line, and then there's the one that NASCAR used to actually show it. And I think it was Jeff Gluck showed a picture of it. It's on pit road. It's set up. If you're ever at a race and you're walking on pit road, you always see NASCAR has a little like computer and command center thing right at the start finish line, and it shoots a laser beam straight up. That is the official start-finish line. It's a one laser line, and then maybe a couple inches ahead is another one to kind of create your line. And that's the one that showed Kyle Larson coming across by the mere inches that he did. So that's the photo that they're using in it, and it freezes the photos. I don't know how many hundreds of photos a second. Yeah, it shows it to get to that exact moment to see where it is. So that's how they proved it. But if you look at this season right now, you have .001 last week. You have .002, that's the Xfinity race at Texas that Sam Mayer beat Ryan Sieg. And then you have .003, that's the three-wide finish at Atlanta. What do all three of those races have in common? Those are on mile-and-a-half tracks.
Cookie cutters!
This is happening on mile-and-a-half tracks. Who would think that these close races were there? We always thought the restrictor plate super speedways are where you're going to have the photo finishes. Right now, I mean, it's happening before our eyes. The much maligned mile-and-a-halfs that we all hated for years, the cookie cutter, terrible races, those are having the best races right now across the board. It's insane.
Yeah. And they designed a new car that supposedly was going to be better on short tracks and road courses. And lo and behold, it didn't work that way. Yeah, no kidding.
And as we sit here today, there's mile-and-a-half tracks that they're not using, that we just quit racing at because people didn't go and the racing was terrible in Kentucky and then down the road here in Chicago. Chicago is the sister track to Kansas. The slight difference between the two, Chicago has a slight arc down the back straightaway. That's the only difference. Chicago has much older pavement, too, because that's still the original pavement. Ooh. Think now how good of a race we may have on that track if they were to run there.
Yeah, but we have Chicago.
Yeah, we have a street race, Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
What would have happened if they would have tied? I mean, if there actually was a tie at that laser beam line, do you put both cars into the playoffs? And then what?
I thought about that. I really did. And I believe this was the litmus test right here, because the transponder did show 0. So we'll figure out a way of breaking a tie. Here, look at this.
Sports betting and all that going on now. I mean, how else would be on that?
They're going to need to make a car like Lightning McQueen where his tongue came out at the end to cross the line first.
Yeah. I'd say it's a good problem to have, though. They have such close finishes that this is what we're discussing. I mean, who would have thought, years ago when you had guys winning by laps, that now we're talking about how we're going to, split up a tie. That goes to show your product is pretty good right now on those type of tracks.
On those kind of tracks. And so maybe that road course, when it runs its course at the end of this, was it a 2-year? No, it was a 3-year deal, right? Chicago. So we still have this year and
next year is still up in the air. They agreed to do this year yet with the current administration. So beyond that, there's nothing guaranteed.
And now NASCAR, boy, they got a lot on their plate.
One tie ever, and that was for third place in 1974 at the Firecracker 400. Gale Yarborough and Buddy Baker. It was for third, so it wasn't for the win.
But it also was before the day of transponders.
Correct, yeah. And you imagine maybe that's the next thing to think about skirting the rules. Maybe you have something where the driver mashes the gas and that splitter just moves out a little bit.
Oh, my God.
There might be people doing that already, Dan.
Yeah. Way to bust them, Dan. Nice idea. Oh, they're scratching their heads. Hey, could we do that? Boy, yeah. Can you imagine them finding a lever that pushes the front spoiler out just another couple inches? Oh, my God. I don't think. Boy, you'd be in more trouble than Tim Cindric would be for Indy cars, wouldn't it? Hey, we weren't that far off last week, were we? Tim Cindric was suspended by Penske. No surprise whatsoever, and has pushed the pass BS. It really doesn't affect NASCAR and Tim Cindric or Tim Cindric's kid or any of that stuff. It really doesn't. We're really happy you're tuned in. We've got a lot to talk about. My God, the silly season. Back in the day, that was what we just licked our chops over, the silly season. And this week it is revved up, and we're going to talk all about the things that are going on when we come back. We're glad you're tuned in, and we'll take a break.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines. Just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com. Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years, PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
The Milwaukee Admirals and the Texas Stars will meet in a deciding Game 5 Sunday night at Panther Arena. Point, he'll give it for Ufko to the right circle. Parson and with a lane to the front of the net. They score! Sacre Blue, Sacre LaRue! Pre-game coverage at 4:30. Face-off at 5. He's the hero we want and need.
Yeah, you hockey fans got to be just loving this. The Admirals, they lost the first two of this best-of-5 in the first round, and they've won the next two against the Texas Stars. That's a big 4:30. Tune in. This is this will determine who moves on, and the Admirals are right. Boy, this is exciting stuff for hockey fans. My God, it's great. It's exciting time also, I'll tell you, for what's going on with the annual shuffle that used to be called the silly season. I'm not sure they call it anymore, but this week, all of a sudden, you see on Facebook, Michael McDowell. Thank you so much to my friends at Front Row. I'll love you forever. You've been great for me and my career and my family, but I'm quitting. Really? I'm going to pursue other opportunities. What, is he going to just tell people that he's available? No. It was about a half an hour later that Spire Motorsports introduced him as the new driver of their number 71 car for next year. Spire. That doesn't exactly inspire. It never did. You know, it seemed like a backmarker outfit, yet they certainly have spent the money and are putting people and things in place. This is just, it's kind of like one of those domino things. What's all going on? It had to do, a little bit when Stewart Haas, the rumor was out there. In fact, Tony Stewart told me straight up, 3 cars is a better business model for us than 4 cars, which means to me that they're going to have one of their charters for sale. And, we hear this week that they actually sent out prospectus to potential buyers of their charter. Boy, that's got to be an interesting piece of paper. Yeah, you could do this and you could do this, but of course, it's only guaranteed for 1 more year. So how much money do you really want to spend? And if you're going to sell one of the charters, we got Briscoe, Berry, Gregson, and Preece. Of those 4, Preece is in the last year of his contract. Does that mean he would be the one out? He doesn't bring money. It seems logical, but, my logic sometimes is not really what people would really think of as logical. But, boy, let's start with you, Dan. There's more to the Stewart Haas thing than that, right?
Seems to be a lot. I mean, everybody agrees they're going to at least sell 1 charter. Some people say 2. There was talk this week of maybe a merger with Front Row Motorsports, which is the 34 and 38 team that Michael McDowell just left. I mean, if that happens, if those Stewart Haas 3 cars and the Front Row 2 cars, well, now you got 1 car too many, so you might have to get rid of another charter there or something. I mean, there's all talk. like the guy from front row said, there's a lot of smoke but no fire yet, but it's all talk out there. Now there's teams that are looking for charters. I mean, Trackhouse is going to have to find one. Zane Smith right now in that 71 car is on loan to Spire to run because Trackhouse didn't have a third charter. Well, McDowell's taking that seat now, so Zane Smith goes back to Trackhouse. They got to find a place for him. Either run him in one of their third car with a charter or loan him out to another team that's got an opening somewhere. So they'll be looking. 2311 is going to be looking for a third car. Their 50 car is going to come out at, I think, Nashville for Corey Heim. So the market's out there.
Who's done very well for himself in his limited time.
Right, so the market's out there. I guess the question is, who wants the charter more than anybody else?
And Legacy supposedly wants one. Did we know they were talking about adding a full-time third team? I don't recall.
I didn't. That kind of came out as well too. I think Trackhouse is in the most desperate place to get one because they have a driver that's under contract. They have to run somewhere and they got to put him somewhere. So I think they would probably be the most aggressive going after it. Brian seemed to think it's 2311.
Yeah, I mean, you see what Corey Heim did here in the last couple of weeks, running the car for them. And if 2311 truly wants to keep Corey Heim, I'm thinking they're going to be pretty eager to get another a charter, because if you look at how these cars are these days, running an Xfinity season really doesn't do much for you anymore. I mean, it doesn't. These cars are so radically different that if you could put a guy in the Cup car and he runs that well right off the bat, I don't know if it's going to do you a service to have him run a full Xfinity season. So they may be thinking, let's just jump right into the Cup Series with him and see what he can do. And I mean, all of a sudden now it came up that they're going to put him in this car at Nashville in a month to run a race. So that leads me to believe that 2311 is pretty serious about getting him in the Cup Series.
And that was already planned. It just happened that he subbed for Eric Jones already.
And he does, he's very, there's a lot of promise with Corey Heim. Let's put it that way. So you look out, okay, maybe Priest would be the man out over there at Stewart-Haas, possibly. But don't forget, there's other people that might be on their way out, and we have to figure out who's going to fill some seats, for instance. You finally saw, we were not the only ones that noticed how bad Harrison Burton is. He's just not doing himself any favors. He will run up front on occasion, usually not for very long, and then he disappears, and then, the bad...
During a pit cycle.
Yeah,
he'll be up front during a pit cycle.
Yeah, that's true. But, boy, he does have the bad luck. Well, there's something about all that bad luck. If you weren't running in the back, you wouldn't have all that bad luck. Truex, every year, comes up with this, well, will I come back? I don't know. Should I? Would I? Okay, well, there's that to think about. There's that charter from the 34 car. Where is that going to go? Remember that if Truex actually left, there is that pipeline that is somewhat, there's actually people in the Toyota pipeline now, even though Kyle Busch Motorsports, who supplied the pipeline for Toyota before, we mentioned Corey Heim, but Chandler Smith is also pretty well regarded and looks like he's ready for the move.
Jack is in the Legacy car, but he'd probably jump to Gibbs in a heartbeat if that 19 seat opened up.
You would think.
I mean, you can't forget about Roush Fenway has a third car out there. Remember, they ran that 60 car at Daytona. I mean, how serious are them about having another car? What about the 47? Something's going on there. I mean, probably go over to Joe Gibbs with the sponsorship, but the owners seem to be sticking around, the other guys. And Stenhouse.
Who the hell is Gordon Smith, and where did he come from, Dan?
There's got to be some ownership change there. Is somebody coming in to help with that team? I mean, what's going on there?
Gordon Smith is the guy who said, how great it is to, to renew our people and how great everything. And wait a minute, I thought it was Tad Geschickter. No, he's actually just a guy looking for sponsorship, and he had secured all that money from Kroger, and now he's supposedly, it's all in that rumor mill, taking that money over to Gibbs Racing. Well, that plot thickens a little bit there too. We have to think about what the plan is, the long-term plan for such drivers as SVG, this Van Giz dude. He's a very exciting driver. I don't think he's bringing money, but I don't know that for a fact. If so, I didn't really notice where it's coming from. For the first time this week, in the rumor mill, I saw Sam Mayer's name kicked around. I think he's a can't-miss candidate for a Cup Series. It sure seems that way. Also, Sammy Smith's name has been kicked around a little bit. How much money does he bring? And, he does have money behind him. There's all these different factors to kick around. It's an exciting time. And where in the hell, it's like musical chairs. That when the music stops, where's everybody going to land? We'll be right back.
If speed and action is your thing, you'll want to be at the Fair Park in Plymouth this Saturday. It's the Spring Spectacular. 3 divisions of sprint cars, the IRA, Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA, and the Wisconsin Wingless Sprints. Speed and close racing provide plenty of action, and you'll want to see it and hear it. Cars on the track at 5:30. Great racing, great food in the covered grandstand. No racing is scheduled for Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you there.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit BonafideSafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
Time to win some bonus bucks. Bonus bucks. Listen for your chance to win $1,000. Dollar bills, y'all.
Listen for the keyword Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and enter it on our website, thebig920.com.
Tyler Reddick will be our pole sitter today, 170.124 miles per hour. And he will kick it off when that race starts a little after 2 o'clock Milwaukee time. Last week, as great a race as it was because it was rain delayed, everybody jumped over to ABC. Now, remember that the Cup race was on Fox Sports 1, and the Formula One race was on ABC. Many people switched over to ABC to watch the Formula One race. It was nice that we were able to watch the Cup race in its entirety later on, but ABC outdrew Fox Sports 3.1 million viewers to 2.3. I guess that's not a big surprise, even though NASCAR on a mile and a half turns out to be the hot ticket for competition, and Formula One. I guess it was good that they had a different winner for once. That was kind of fun, but really, I think it's the fact that it was ABC over Fox Sports 1's rain delay that really made the difference there. But good for them. I know there's a lot of Formula One fans around. I've started actually trying to pay attention. Never mind. Now I guess I haven't. Speaking of Fox Sports 1, they canceled Race Hub. There are people that think that's just the greatest show. It's the talking heads. It's something to watch NASCAR related in the late afternoon for people who come home from work and want to watch some more NASCAR. They've been on since 2009. It's pretty big. You know what? Programming comes and programming goes. There'll be something else out there. Don't you worry about it.
I hope somebody picks up the Radioactive, though. That was the best thing that they did.
Absolutely, PJ. Yeah, no doubt. That was really good. Yeah, but, I hate to toot our own horn or anything like that, but to be around this business and be able to do it for 40 years, you're beginning to see how difficult it actually is. Being on the air for 40 years is a kind of a big deal, and we're celebrating this year here on LTN. And we thank you all very much for being a part of that. Eric Jones is back today. He will start 30th. Derek Kraus is making another start. He will start 32nd in that number 16 car. Derek hadn't done much in that thing. What was, Dan, you told me before we went on a pretty neat rumor that why Chevrolet loves Derek Kraus.
That was actually Brian. He was told that last weekend.
Brian,
yeah, I was told that Derek has been working with the Chevrolet folks over there and has created a simulation on there of the different tire and the tire wear form, so that when you're running the simulator, it's able to simulate how your tire wears, and I guess it's really perceived well, and it's very close to what they're actually doing. So it's kind of cool that he's been able to do that, from the computer savvy side, because I wouldn't know the first thing how to do anything like that on a computer.
Yeah, he's been doing simulation stuff and pretty well regarded for that. It's cool. It's no doubt. They've been racing here at Darlington now this weekend. The Xfinity Series ran yesterday. Justin Allgaier won his third race at Darlington. Kind of gets around that place pretty good, doesn't he? The truck race, I don't know. It seemed to me that Ty Majeski was going to win that thing going away, and then late in the race, there's only one thing that would prevent Ty Majeski from winning that race, and that would be a late race caution, because Ross Chastain, noted winning Cup driver, was closing the gap, but I thought Ty had plenty of room. Well,
he had over 5 seconds before that caution came out.
Yeah, and it comes out, and okay. I don't know. I just totally it went exactly like I thought it was going to go. Ross Chastain ate him up on the last one and went away and won in the truck series, and it was a pretty big deal for old Ross. Boy, he had a mug full of seeds, didn't he? Red crap dripping off his chin. Dude, you're going to be known for something, I suppose. Watermelon isn't a bad one. Ty spun his tires on the last restart and probably should have restarted on the inside, PJ. He kind of wanted to, didn't he?
It sounded, I listened to his scanner, it sounded like he kind of wanted to go to the inside, but he was uncertain, and he just kind of floated it. And his spotter, Brandon Lyons, said, I don't know, top is where it's at. That's where the momentum is, but I don't want to tell you what to do. And I think Ty just second-guessed himself and went to the top, so... Oh, well.
The truck just didn't seem to want to go it was a long run truck.
It absolutely was long run.
And it just didn't want to go on a restart. It's been one of the deals all year with that truck. They just don't go on restarts. And I don't know how you repair that and make it as good a long run truck as well.
Good. It's great they're up front every week, but they're throwing away too many wins here. You gotta stop that.
Yep.
The dealer.
And yet, all we got to do is get one win, and we'll be in the damn playoffs. And this will all be something we talked about a long time ago, right?
He's loaded for bear. I will say that.
Yeah.
They got a nice run here of truck races. I think they got 3 weeks in a row. They're at North Wilkesboro next week, and then they go to Charlotte the week after that, and they might even race the week after that too. Yet they got quite a run here.
Yeah,
it'll be fun to watch, no doubt. Carson Kvapil got himself. Here's another guy. When he had an opportunity, he looked pretty damn good, and I'll be darned. But here comes Junior says to him, "How about you? We're going to give you 6 more races," which was nothing was scheduled, and all of a sudden he's got himself 6 more races in the Xfinity Series this year, and. Way to go, kid. You're making the most of your opportunity, and that's really what it's all about. So
you run up front, you almost win Dover, and then at Darlington, I thought it looked really good for never being on that place. That's a tough track.
Yeah, it is. And for being there for the first time, interesting, no doubt. We knew that the TV contract was going to be a little, redone. How's that? Redone for next year. Fox has the first 12 races, including the Clash, wherever that is, and the All-Star race, wherever that is. Also, then it's going to go to the middle of the season, and Amazon Prime is going to have 5 races for which they have signed Dale Earnhardt Jr. to do commentary. I'm not positive. They didn't really announce the rest of the announcing team there, did they? I didn't hear or see anything.
I don't think they needed to. All they need is to announce Dale Jr.
Yeah, true that. That 5 races will only be available on Amazon Prime, which means it's a streaming service. And then TNT will get 5 races, so it's a 10-race middle of the season away from the big networks there, because NBC has the final 14, but that starts at 25. So it's interesting stuff. Jordan Bianchi, we all know who he is. He's a pretty impressive and important writer. He came up with some schedule rumors for next year. Oh, my God. Wait till you hear these. We'll be back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
If speed and action is your thing, you'll want to be at the Fair Park in Plymouth this Saturday. It's the Spring Spectacular. 3 divisions of sprint cars, the IRA, Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA, and the Wisconsin Wingless Sprints. Speed and close racing provide plenty of action, and you'll want to see it and hear it. Cars on the track at 5:30. Great racing, great food in the covered grandstand. No racing is scheduled for Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you there.
Get the latest news and golf instruction from Steve and Bobby Stricker, Dennis Tiziani, Travis Becker, Mike Heller, Gary D'Amato, plus other special guests and me, Paul Brown. Talking Golf is brought to you by American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly. That's Talking Golf, Monday night at 6 p.m. on the Big 920, Milwaukee's sports station.
The LTN podcast is available at iHeart, iTunes, and all major platforms. I've noticed, and Matt Losey has told me that on the live, when we're doing it live on the internet, it has always been Facebook has been king, and we are apparently about to be overtaken on Facebook by YouTube. And there's lots of people tuning in on YouTube on our channel, therefore. So, and speaking of channels, Racing Nuggets this week had my announcing partner Dean Strom on from Slinger Speedway, but he's a hell of a lot more than a race announcer. He's a world-class athlete too. It's amazing, isn't it, Peach?
He really is. He has that hand bike that he drives or rides on, and he has done the Boston Marathon. And he is quite the businessman, entrepreneur, too. He actually shared a pretty cool story on the podcast about what he helped his daughter do to make money. He's a neat guy. He's very funny and a good all-around guy, more than racing.
You've known him a long time, haven't you?
I met him at Oktoberfest. John McCarnes introduced him to me when I was out there broadcasting live.
Oh, pretty cool stuff. I used to be his mailman. Imagine that.
I've known him since pre-college days. We used to hang out at Hales Corner Speedway. His dad drove out there, and I'd go there every week.
And his Hall of Fame career, the old man's Hall of Fame career, Bill Strom. Hey, we mentioned Jordan Bianchi, who is not someone to make things up. He has well-placed sources within the industry, and he puts together a rumor mill about the schedule next year that just kind of blows me away. Like, one of the greatest races for me to watch on television is a place where you can actually go 3 and 4 wide, Richmond, Virginia. They're talking about, and apparently very seriously talking about, dropping the spring race at Richmond and taking it to Mexico City. What track is in Mexico City? Or are we going to be doing a Chicago road course race through the smog capital of the Western Hemisphere?
No, it's called Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez.
Oh,
That's where the Formula One series runs there, and that's where the Xfinity series ran. Well, when was that? 2010 era, right? Something like that, Dan? When were they there?
That's right.
Yeah, they go there for a couple of years, and the F1 goes there now. You know, that'll be a big splash TV-wise. I think logistically-wise, the people in the garage, it's going to be kind of a hassle just to get there. But, you know, they'll go where they go.
Are you going to need armed escorts to get from the border down to Mexico City?
My biggest thing is, it's going to take a long time to get the vehicles down there. I mean, where do you plop that on the schedule where you race one place and say you have a rainout or so and you don't race until Monday, and then you want these teams to get all their stuff all the way to Mexico City, about as far as you can possibly go, and then you got to get all your stuff back. I mean, the logistics of this.
It's going to cost the teams more because they're going to probably have to have a car especially for that, because it's going to need to go through customs back and forth. Yeah. So it's going to cost them more money.
And I have no doubt that the crowd will be phenomenal, because one thing about the Mexican fans is they support their sports. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's soccer, I mean, when the NFL is there, I mean, I think MLB played some baseball down there. They support it. So I get going there, but the logistics of it just I don't know. And as far as Richmond goes, I mean, Richmond has a hard time selling tickets, and that's the problem there. And that's why they want to eliminate a race, which I guess I am not opposed to that. But if that's what you're going to use, if NASCAR is going to stick to that, butts in the seats make a difference, then that needs to go full circle, because we all know, those of us up here, that butts in the seats don't necessarily make a difference when it comes to keeping a race or not keeping a race in these parts.
Funny you should bring up Road America.
Exactly.
Because, and if they were going to leave the Chicago road course race, I mean, as you brought up yourself, I mean, there's that track right outside of Chicago in Joliet there that would suddenly put on a pretty good show too. So there's places that are beckoning NASCAR after this 2, maybe 3-year contract is done on downtown Chicago and all the headaches that go with it. Well, and yet you guys went and said it was a pretty good event, right?
Yeah. I mean, other parts of Jordan Bianchi's thing, I mean, it's very apparent that next year they're not going to be in Southern California. It doesn't sound like anything is imminent that's going to work out. And then one of the other things is the Clash, and there's talk of possibly having the Clash at Bowman Gray. But
North Carolina.
And if you want to have the Clash in February, I looked it up. The average temperature for the month of February, now you're talking the entire month, is the low to mid 50s, and the lows are in the 30s. So
we used to race in Richmond in February, and we raced in Rockingham in February. Second and third races of the year.
And the one thing you got is Bowman Gray. I think it's a stadium that holds about 15,000. So I think you're going to fill that one. Hell, I think you'd fill that if it was 20 degrees out, because people are going to want to show up to see that if you were to run cup cars there. Is it realistic or not? I don't know, but that's what Jordan was kind of floating in that.
Is there a
in his
clause
athletic
that says the drivers are required to fight?
That would be cool.
Security is standing by. The other thing that he brought up is that the championship weekend at Phoenix looks like it's going to be good not only through this year but also through next year. And there are, of course, a lot of people that don't think that that's the greatest place to put the championship race. You know, it's funny. It didn't seem broke before, but we moved it to Phoenix because it's supposedly such a better market than the Homestead Miami market. But, Dan, the plot thickens a little.
Yeah, I mean, they went there because Phoenix really embraces the championship week, and they really want it. And then Miami had great racing at Homestead, but the city of Miami, in a great area that kind of towards the end didn't support it much, and they lost it. Well, now they kind of saw what they lost, and the Homestead City Council had a resolution this week that they're going to make a bid for that championship race to get it back after Phoenix has done it, maybe for 26. So we might have a little bit of a bidding war between Miami and Phoenix. I think the racing was way better in Miami. But I do agree that Phoenix they built that whole garage area, which is great for the fans, and the whole support they get from the whole Phoenix community is phenomenal for the championship weekend.
And the weather is a big thing. You don't have to worry about, rain and, hurricane season is on the end of it. And if you think about it, the championship race is going to be at a NASCAR track, NASCAR-owned track. So you're really, really limited on where you could have it. You have Phoenix, you have Homestead, and maybe Darlington. The weather in South Carolina in November, I don't know how good that is. Other than that, you don't really have any other options. And I don't see them giving the championship race to Speedway Motorsports If they were, I would say Vegas would be a slam dunk for it. But again, I don't see them giving, SMI one of those races.
Yeah, Atlanta. Remember, that used to be one of SMI. That was the championship race when Alan Kowicki won it back in the day. So they have history. Boy, this is the time of year for the rumor mill, and it's been fun keeping track of all of that. We're very glad you're tuned in at any time, except of course during the next segment. If you'd like to call us, it's 414-421-7901 on this Mother's Day weekend. We'll take a break and come back with some results.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years, PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
The Milwaukee Admirals and the Texas Stars will meet in a deciding Game 5 Sunday night at Panther Arena. Point, he'll give it for Ufko to the right circle. Parson and with a lane to the front of the net. They score! Sox-Gray Blues, back to the room! Pre-game coverage at 4:30, face-off at 5. He's the hero we want and need.
LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Another spring week of dirt tracks dodging raindrops across the country. We'll give you the ones that were able to dodge them. We'll start Wednesday night. Abbottstown, Pennsylvania, the Lincoln Speedway for the World of Outlaw NOS Engineering Sprint Car Series. David Gravel got the win, and he's on quite a roll. I believe that was his 4th win of the year already. Del Mar, Delaware, Wednesday night for the Short Track Super Series Big Block Modifieds. Truck Series regular Stuart Friesen grabbed the win there. Friday night, Chilton was the only track in the eastern part of the state to dodge some raindrops, and they got one of their features in. Tim Warner grabbed the stock cars. The rest of them rained out, along with Luxembourg and Seymour. Menominee on the west side of the state, they got their race in at the Red Cedar Speedway. The Wissota Late Models went to Chad Mader. Wissota Mods went to Steve Hulquist. Fountain City, Wisconsin, the Mississippi Thunder Speedway, the USRA Limited Lates went to Cade Nelson, and the USRA Modifieds went to Jim Chisholm. Kankakee, Illinois, the Badger Midgets were down there. Cale Coons grabbed the win. With the UMP Pro Late Models, the undercard, Chase Osterhoff got the win. Bloomington, Indiana, Friday night for the USAC Amsoil National Sprint Car Larry Rice Classic. That went to Logan Seavey. West Burlington, Iowa, the 34 Raceway for the High Limit Sprint Car Series, $12,000 to win. Brad Sweet grabbed a win by the narrowest of margins. As we talk about close finishes, they have him on the dirt side as well, as he beat James McFadden by a mere 3 or 4 inches to get that win. Farmer City, Illinois, Friday night, the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, $25,000 to win. Ricky Thornton Jr. got the win. If you were watching that race, it sure looked like Shannon Babb was going to grab his first Lucas Oil win since 2016, but his car failed him right at the end there. He had some sort of failure in the back of the car. He quit running, and Ricky Thornton Jr. continued his winning ways. Last night at Plymouth, the late models, Mitch McGrath grabbed the win for the first race of the Super 6 Series. The MSA 360 Sprints went to TJ Smith, and the Grand Nationals went to Bradley Weiss. Francis Crick, the 141 Speedway in the IMCA Modifieds, Greg Retz with the win. Stock cars went to Benji Lacrosse, and the Grand Nationals went to a good friend Josh Pierce. His 2nd win of the season already for him in the Grand Nationals, as he's off to a really good start. Shawano in the late models, that went to Ron Berna. Modifieds, Derek Yankee, and the stock cars, Kyle Frederick. Down at Wilmot in the IRA Wingless Sprints, that went to Rusty Egan, and the Modifieds, Terry Kidarowski. Rice Lake opened up their season modified winner, Caden Blauser. Down in Sycamore, Illinois, the IRA sprint cars were down there. Jake Newman grabbed his third career win. The Badger Midgets were also there. R.J. Corson grabbed the win in that one. Hopstad, Indiana, the Tri-State Speedway for the USAC Amsoil National Sprint Cars. Kevin Thomas Jr. got the victory. Pontoon Beach, Illinois, the Tri-City Speedway for the High Limit Sprint Cars. Brent Marks with the win. And finally, the big money race of the week in Fairbury, Illinois for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, $30,000 to win. And Devin Moran grabbed the win down there. And that is everything we have on the dirt for this week.
And on the asphalt, last Sunday afternoon, the ASA Midwest Tour at Madison for the Joe Shear Classic. Ty Majeski picked up the win, $15,000 purse, and the $3,600 bounty that was placed on his head for that race. No word if they're going to continue the bounty throughout that season or not. Their next stop
win, by the way.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Their next stop for the Midwest Tour will be at Jefferson. Friday night, Golden Sands Speedway had their season opener. Levon Vandergeest picked up the win there. Hawkeye Downs late models was Griffin McGrath picking up the checkered flag there. Last night, or afternoon, Wisconsin International Raceway over in Kaukauna, they had the Tundra Super late models. Ty Fredrickson set fast time and picked up the win, and it was a bit of a slobber knocker on some of the restarts, Dan.
Yeah, pretty much with him and Dalton's there. Those are the two best cars towards the end. They had on one of the restarts, Dalton was kind of playing games with the kid. He kind of laid back and Ty jumped. They called him back, and the next time he laid back a little bit, and I think Fredrickson was worried about jumping again, so he kind of accordioned it and Zero was able to get a pretty good lead. Ty tracked him down. They came up on a lap car, and Zero tagged the lap car, spun him around, set up a 6-lap dash. Fredrickson jumped again on the restart after some game plan. And when they got going, Dalton Zier got the lead and looked like he was going to be able to hold him off because Ty could get to him, but I don't know if he can get around him. But then going into turn one with about 4 laps to go, Zier slowed, had a fuel pump problem, and then let Ty Fredrickson sail to the win. A very popular one, I'll tell you that. The crowd is very pro Ty Fredrickson there.
Let's say, Dan, inconsistent officiating?
No, I don't know. I mean, it's because on the start when Zier got the lead, I mean, Fredrickson was a control car. I think it's just he didn't realize he was a control car and he should have just went. I mean, it was in his head too much to be worried about jumping. The first jump was really egregious, and they called it back. But the second time around, I think I would have kept going if I was him, and he probably would have stood. And that's why they let it stand, because the 119 passed him after that. I just think it was just he got in his mind a little bit.
Okay, interesting.
At Jefferson Speedway, they finally got their opener in. The late models, Sean Scheel was the winner there. Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, the Arca Menards East Series ran there. William Sawalich was your winner. And also last night, Dells Raceway Park was in action. Mason Hellenbrand was your winner for the 602 feature. And Todd, you saw Mike Litchfield kind of put on a clinic.
Did, yeah. He was came from the back of the invert and really within 4 laps was knocking on the door. I got to say that Malon Borntrigger, who had taken over the lead, made Mike work pretty good. And there was some really close contact racing, a little getting in to each other as they were racing. It sure was fun to watch. Mike Litchfield is hard to beat at that track, let's face it. So it was very impressive. What I thought was kind of cool, as a little side light here, is that I was there in attendance to see Penn Sauter's debut in a pro late model. He didn't do much. The car didn't seem to it faded on him. I don't know. I didn't talk to Johnny. I didn't go in the pits afterwards. The car slowed after a while, and he got down a couple of laps and pulled into the infield. So I don't know what happened there, but it was pretty cool to see Penn's first race in a one of these pro lates. You know, he's a tall young man. How old is he, Dan? About 14?
Yeah, I think 13, 14, yeah.
13, 14, something like that. So he certainly fits in the seat now, which is pretty good. You know, he's about taller than Johnny is, but it was neat to be there for that, for sure. So, and I guess that's it for results.
That's it for the asphalt.
All right. So that's it was a it's great that we're getting going. Next week, of course, we'll be at Slinger Speedway for the It's going to be an afternoon show next week on the 19th. And so the next 2 Sundays will be at Slinger Speedway because the week, believe it or not, we are 2 weeks away from Memorial Day. Isn't it supposed to warm up about this time around here?
Supposed to be 70 today.
I'm happy. I like where we're at.
Like you were supposed to bring it with you from Phoenix.
Yeah. This is like a winter day in Arizona, so it is nice. But by now we should be getting well. Either way, it's nice to have this nice weather around here for sure. And we'll be doing Slinger the next couple of weeks. Be fun. In case you missed it, the Milwaukee Mile got a sponsor for their truck race. It's the LIUNA 175, the Laborers International Union of North America. I used to belong to that union back in the early 70s, and my staff was barely born by then here, and when I was a gravedigger. We'll be right back.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com. Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Get the latest news and golf instruction from Steve and Bobby Stricker, Dennis Tiziani, Travis Becker, Mike Heller, Gary D'Amato, plus other special guests and me, Paul Brown. Talking Golf is brought to you by American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly. That's Talking Golf Monday night at 6 p.m. on the Big 920 Milwaukee's Sports Station.
On my way back from Arizona, as I passed the exit at Newton, Iowa, I checked the mileage to see how long it was going to be to Milwaukee area, and it's 300 miles from basically from the East Troy exit over there to Newton, Iowa. So however long it takes you to get from where you live in the Milwaukee area, or in Wisconsin, down to East Troy, it's another 300 miles from there. So what is that, about 5 hours, I guess? Depends how fast you drive, but of course we're all legal. Then that's, do we know the date on that yet? I guess we do. I just don't know it off the top of my head, but be a fun summer this year. Hey, guys, we had such a great race with all the side-by-side racing on that 1.5 miles. Darlington is not far from 1.5 miles, but it's not exactly like one of these double dog leg front stretches that we see at what they call the cookie cutter tracks. So the question would be, are we in for more side-by-side racing at Darlington today or not?
I don't know if you can race side by side in the corner at Darlington. You got to get singled out by the time you get to the turn here, because it narrows up so fast, and somebody's usually in the fence. Remember the old Darlington stripe? I mean, the track just makes it good racing overall, I think.
It really is. And speaking of which, we've been on a little bit of a roll here, actually. For as bad as our picks have been over the course of not long, we've been getting them right kind of every week. PJ picked the winner last week. She didn't know it was going to be by 1,000th of a second, I'm sure, but she picked Kyle Larson to win last week.
You know, the funny thing is, I was waffling between Buescher and Larson.
I thought about that.
Oh,
really?
really?
Pick Buescher all the time. I figured she's going to take Buescher, then she took Larson.
It's who I'm planning to pick today, unless one of you do.
Well, you can go. There's no order here. If you want, in fact, we can all agree on the same driver if we want to. It's who we think is going to win. That's all.
She was the winner, so she might as well go first.
Go ahead.
All right, I'm taking Chris Buescher today.
Oh, interesting. Here, I thought you were going to take this Kyle Larson. Well, that's interesting. All right, I marked you down for that. I mean, I guess I'll jump in there. I guess I've seen enough red juice dripping from the chin of a man with a beard to make me think that the watermelon kid can actually win this one too. And I'm gonna, well, what the hell? I'm so bad. I'm just gonna take Ross Chastain and be done with it. All right, Dan.
All right, I'm feeling kind of confident lately, so I'm going to go out on a limb a little bit. Now, long winless streak ends today. Brad Keselowski.
Ooh. All right, and Brian.
This looks like a Hendrick deal here today, so I'm going to go with William Byron. It's kind of low-hanging fruit, but I'll pick it today.
At least he didn't take the 11 car. We can call
No, I'm sick of seeing him win. That's enough. Jeez.
And it's your fault.
Yeah. That's 3 for 3 with him. No more. I'm like, come on.
Enough's enough.
Yes. You're off. You're cut off.
It's pretty funny actually, but it's amazing how we have gone without a lot. I mean, the rumor mills that have been coming up for both schedules and drivers and owners and charters and all that sort of thing. It's all seems to me to be over. It's in the shadow of the contract negotiations with NASCAR and their teams. And, it's everything that's being done right now is with an asterisk on it, as long as the charter system stays in place. Or at least it seems that way to me.
It does. And you saw this week it came out that there was a provision floated out there in some of these negotiations that maybe one of the France family members would own a team, and that kind of got shot down right away. Wow, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, maybe that's them saying, yeah, you guys all cry about it, but we'll go ahead and buy a team, and then we'll show you that it's a money-making thing. No, we don't want you to do. We don't have anything to do with that. Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding.
Let the inmates run the prison.
It just doesn't seem like a good idea to anybody. And in fact, sometimes you think that might have been a negotiating ploy, Dan. I mean, they are right now kind of stuck, even though NASCAR says we're getting close, and the owners are going, "Are you kidding me? Where's the close part?" And
they probably floated it just to get everybody back to the table, so they would say, no, not happening.
Yeah, that's true. It's hilarious.
You have that committee, the team negotiating committee. Was it like Jeff Gordon? Is it Dave Alpern from Gibbs and Steve Newmark, I think, from Roush, and what's the guy's name? Curtis Polk, I think, from 2311. Those are the four that are supposed to negotiate, and NASCAR's been going on their own. The teams talking individually, kind of a divide and conquer type strategy. I'm not sure how that's going to all work out.
Yeah, they call them. They'll call their guy. Hey, it's NASCAR. So what do you think of this? Really? Should you be talking? Nobody says, could you be talking to the negotiating committee? It's interesting that Jeff Gordon is on that committee, isn't it? He's a smart guy.
He is one of the upper-ups there at Hendrick.
He is. And, I mean, how many guys that have hosted Saturday Night Live are negotiating for a new contract with NASCAR? I mean, think about that.
They should call Dale Jr. and say, what do you think? Because he'd have the final say in everything.
Yeah.
And his takes are spectacular. And if you haven't seen his podcast yet, you're missing out. It's pretty amazing. Well, we're really happy you tuned in. And to all you mothers out there from us, thank you for all you do and for all you've done and for being there for so many of us in our lives. This is going to be an interesting race. 212 will be the green flag today. And so keep track of that for all of us. We want you to know that real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losi. For all of us involved with the program, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.